Well, trading is closed on July 3rd, 2024. As always, we'll start with our disclaimer, go over our calls, and make some predictions. This is my trading plan for Friday, July 5, 2024. Do trade at your own risk. I can be completely wrong. Look for the pattern today with the early high, which is this. Friday should have the early low. Typically, this is a negative day and we rallied instead. That usually leads to more rally, but don't forget the time's not up until we open on Friday. So if we gap down smartly Friday, that's the standard pattern, and this rally doesn't mean much. We're not going to know that until Friday's open. We said we should have a gap. We said that most commonly we should gap and promptly trade outside the range. We gapped down, traded outside the range promptly, so that worked. Here's what we said. We had some lowered price targets. Time hasn't run out for all of them. These lower two are still active. We should have seen this one, 54.88.97 today. We came nowhere near it, so we'll have to add it to the list. And we have a new target from today, 55.19.42, most likely by early Monday. Now that's a lot of targets. The question is, are they going to print or are they going to be left behind? All I can say is the system's 22 years old. I've never had 3 targets the same day, and particularly 4 targets over 2 days, which remained outstanding forever. If these never print, it would be the first time in 22 years. But that doesn't mean they print on Friday. Early on, we had an ultimate sell signal with an optional higher target. We got enough to satisfy the ultimate sell, although we usually get more. We don't have to. That was called a false move. We retraced. We got the optional higher target. This move is now called false, and we should retrace to 55.19.42. And if we don't gap up smartly, that's what the call has to be. Today completed bar 13 on the combo sell signal from Tom DeMark on the daily chart. It's in alignment with a sequential sell signal. And Friday, unless there's a collapse, we're going to complete a weekly 913.9 sequential sell signal. When all these things are in alignment like this, it indicates the market's extremely overextended, and we should correct in terms of time or in terms of price. We have all these lower targets. We have weak breadth. We've satisfied a few outstanding targets. One is the period before the 4th of July is a bullish period. That's over. We had an outstanding 55.87.75 futures target. Had it printed sometime. That's printed, so we've done everything we have to do. We've finished our time period. We've hit the higher target. We've done everything. So if we start down, we don't have to go any higher right now, even though this isn't going to be the high of the bull market. Well, we can always count this different ways. We've moved Agenda B from here to here to here. Right now, if you move it, you can still get a good fib ratio. We had this trend line. It's the same trend line. That connects way back to the COVID low. We stopped right at it. Ideally, if we're going to break through, you're going to gap over it. Otherwise, that's resistance. I'm not happy with any of the counts I have on this rally, but I can count 5 waves up. I mean, if that's wave 5, it's equal to wave 1, and it's exactly half of wave 3. I mean, that's what you look for when you're counting these things. Doesn't mean it's the only count. Doesn't mean it's the right count, but at least there is a count that justifies this being the end of 5 waves up. So if, and that's an if, underlined and underlined twice, if we start down, particularly by gapping down smartly, undoing all this rally, you can justify this as being a short-term high on many counts. Friday's pattern has a yearly low regardless of where we open. The FOMC minutes are released later this afternoon. The non-farm payroll report comes out before Friday's open, and I just can't predict the response to these events with a great degree of accuracy, and I don't try. There is a lower MEJT target. If we don't gap up smartly, the rules call for it to print, and there remain price targets from Tuesday, and they haven't printed yet, and they really should print at some time. We completed bar 13 of DeMark's combo sell on the daily chart. Friday we should complete a 913.9 weekly sequential sell. There's a wave count compatible with 5 waves up being completed. Breadth isn't confirming the rally, and the outstanding futures target ahead of print at some time has printed. None of this guarantees a drop from here. It's quite unlikely we're going to have the end of the bull market today, but if, in capital letters, if we drop from here, the drop should be substantial. And if that is to happen, ideally we gap down Friday and keep on dropping. And if we don't, especially if we haven't started to drop within 3 days, I'm going to be far less enthusiastic about the short side. Now, if DeMark's indicators fail, they usually fail big time. Now, it's hard for me to see them failing big time here because breadth is so lousy and because we have these lower targets, but you never know. I mean, if we gap up smartly and keep going, I would not fight that. The ideal situation, if this is a top, is to gap down. Frankly, you want to gap down a lot and keep on dropping. And if we do, we have all the elements we need for a sizable drop, even though this should be recovered at some point. If that happens, everything's lined up. We gap up instead and hold it, I'm going to lose a lot of enthusiasm for the idea. It's probably killed, though you won't know, at least I won't know for certain until we close. So we'll see what the response is to these reports. Everything is lined up, but it hasn't triggered. A trigger is gapping down smartly, and if we gap down smartly and keep on dropping, I'm looking for a sizable drop. If we gap up instead, I'm going to cool my ardor I'm going to cool my ardor for calling a top here, because we could just consolidate without breaking any of the rules. We'll see the response to these reports. We'll see what happens Friday. We have what we need. We're waiting for it. We are waiting for our trigger. We'll see if we get it, and that's today's call.